Hey everybody, welcome to another show and another segment of Tony's show. And today was an interesting day, gotta tell you. I went and got my exemption form for Canada so I could walk into the stores. And I walked into 4 places and I didn't really have any issue, except when I went into the Bank of Montreal. Now it was pretty good. I got in line and I had my form, and I showed the guy. Said, "You gotta wear a mask." I said, "No, I don't. Here's my form." "Okay, no problem. Just walk right on in." So I walk in, and so there's another banker there, and showed her the form. I said, "Yeah, no problem. Go right on in." So then he said, well, the one guy tells me, he says, "When you get to the till, show the lady your form." I said, "Okay, no problem." So I go in, and I show her the form. He says, "Wow, this is the first. You're the first." I said, "Really?" She says, yeah, you're the first." So I said, "Okay." So I broke the ice. Yay for breaking the ice. So anyway, so we're carrying on doing our transaction. So she had to leave for a minute. So the till, the lady that was working at the till beside her says, "You need to wear a mask." I says, "No, I don't." She says, "Yes, you do." I says, "No, I don't. I don't need to wear anything." So then I showed her the form. I said, "You shouldn't be so demanding and so, jumping to conclusions. Perhaps maybe you should ask what's going on before you start, with the verbiage." And she says, "Well, I wasn't being demanding." I said, "Yes, you were. You're demanding that I put on a mask. You're demanding, you were just jumping to all these conclusions without asking any questions." So then she says, "Well, I don't mean to start an argument with you. I mean, the psychology this gal was trying to play was funnier than hell." But anyway, so I said to her, she said, "Well, I wasn't trying." I said, "Listen, you may want to stop. You may want to quit while you're ahead." Basically, just shut her up, stood my ground, and took a stand. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a lot of these dumb asses out there that think that I don't know what it is they got in their head. They think they're serving something. Somebody's going to give them a pat in the back or a bite in the ass. I don't know what it is. But they think that they can come up and just tell people what they're going to do and demand that they do these things without any repercussions. And I'm going to tell you something. You need to stand your ground. This bullshit about running away and don't want to have problems, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you this. I stood my ground today at the bank, and I wasn't going to take any shit from this stupid ass at all. Okay, and if I've got an exemption form and she's just jumping the gun, jumping to conclusions, not even asking anything if I do have an exemption form, not even thinking about it. And then while I was there, this was the other beautiful thing that happened out of this. So while I was there, I'm talking to the gal comes back. So I started talking to her about the mask. I said, those masks you guys wear, they're wearing these effing masks for 8 hours in the bank. I said, "Why aren't you guys wearing a visor?" I said, "The visor is a mask. It'll allow you to breathe. It'll block any shit coming from you if that's what they're worried about. And plus, you got this glass thing in front of you anyway." I said, "You wearing those masks is going to cause you about 8 different types of cancers." And now I got her undivided attention. I said, "Well, you're breathing in propylene and formaldehyde and ethylene and hydrogen cyanide and slimicide and butane and a bunch of other chemicals." I said, when you go into the grocery stores and they're wiping everything down with bleach, they're releasing chlorine gas into the atmosphere there, and you're breathing that in too. Now that's going to mix with those chemicals in those masks you're wearing, which is going to cause further brain damage or throat damage or thymus damage. And I says, and all this is going to do is open you up for more infection. I got her undivided attention, but now I'm speaking loud now. I am speaking loud so everybody can hear me in the bank. I wasn't yelling or anything, but I mean loud enough where everybody could get wind of what I was talking about. I said, "So why isn't the bank, allowing you to have these visors? They're just as effective." I said, "The mask," I said, "don't stop anything. They allow any type of particle to go through, and COVID isn't going to stop it. It's not going to stop COVID, and especially if COVID is nano." I said, "Well, nano is on a scale of a billionth, and these face masks are on a scale of a millionth, on a micron. It's like you're not wearing nothing." So anyway, so she helped me out, got my stuff, got my money, paid my bills, and left. And then I went to another store, and they said, "Oh, so you don't even have to explain anything to anybody. It's just, just show them that, and you're fine." I said, "Well, I just figured I'd show you just so that, you don't think I'm a dink." So anyway, it was a good day, and I'm sharing this because we as people who are civilized and use our mental capacities and try to be as rational as possible and try to be open to hearing other people's opinion and their expressions, need to draw a line when you are being suppressed, oppressed, or just being manipulated and maneuvered into whatever bullshit that's going on. Now everybody's wanting to be compliant and take the easy way and buy the mask and buy this and buy that and wear the condom covering on the hands. Each finger's got a condom contraption on there. It's condom gloves, condom protection, latex on the hands. So really, take into consideration, as long as you don't say nothing, they're going to keep on stomping a mud hole in your ass so deep they're going to walk it dry. And an oil well may sprout out from it. And this may sound, like I said, dirt crude, but you know what? This will hopefully sober some of you up. Those of you who are awake, seriously, you don't have to be shy. Those of you who are believers, remember something. Jesus made a whip, and he was going to whip somebody's ass in the temple for doing stupid shit that they weren't supposed to be doing in the temple. There's a time to be mad, and there's a time not to be. And showing righteous anger in regarding to who you are and being violated in a fashion that, if they want to jump off of a cliff and they want to jump into the abyss, let them. You don't have to go with them. You don't have to partake of that stupidity. Okay, if people are this stupid and this ignorant to follow blindly leadership that is doing nothing but killing them, and you've done everything in your power to try to raise awareness and try to make them aware of what's going on, it's time to cut them loose. Sometimes, and I've said this before, pain is the best teacher. When you get hurt enough, and you get broken down enough, and you get beat up enough, and you go financially broke enough, you begin to say ouch on so many different levels. And then you begin to think, because that hypnotic program, you begin to see something going on that shouldn't be happening. When you reach a measure of success, or you're just about ready to get success, and you get knocked back 10 steps, and so you pick up your socks because you've been taught, don't quit, don't give up, just keep going. A break will come your way. Work hard, go. And you get right back to the position where you were when you got knocked back the first time, and you get knocked back down again. Sometimes that's God's wake-up call. No way, buddy, you're not going here. This ain't for you. Find another route. This is death. Sometimes it's God. Sometimes it's something else. Sometimes it's the darkness trying to keep you from reaching that success. But you may want to reevaluate, instead of doing the same thing over again, maybe think a little bit what you need to really be doing in order to get past that hump. If it's meant for you to get past that hump and God has blessed you in that way, then you will have whatever it is that you're working for, or that you should have. But sometimes we don't see things in the perimeter, and we wind up pursuing the wrong things, or going down the wrong direction, believing, because we've been programmed, this is what we have to do. This is how it has to work. This is what we should be doing. And in all reality, that's not the case. So discernment is important here. And when I say, read the Gospels and understand what Jesus was saying, heck, it might not be a bad idea to have a one-on-one with the Great One and let him help you to make some of those decisions so you can properly discern what's going on. And I'm not saying listen to a minister. I'm not saying listen to a pastor. Have a little faith, move forward, take the steps you need to take. If you stumble, bumble around, that's the learning curve you have to go through. Everybody goes through that, And in the end, it'll work out some way, somewhere, somehow. It always does. Sometimes it's just a matter of saying, it's get beat up enough, you might want to say, maybe I need to change my objective or change my perspective. And sometimes that's really hard to see and do because of the way we've been programmed. Go get 'em, boys. Don't stop until you win. Victory is everything. Go, go, go. Win, win, win. This is how it's been drilled in us. That's not all bad. But sometimes it can blind you, and that's when it becomes really bad. So this is why I said sometimes discernment is really important in understanding when it's time to push really hard and when it's time to maybe take it easy and back off. So you don't get sucked into a vortex that will put you in a worse position than you were before you got there. Or worse yet, you get entrapped into something you can't get out. That is probably the worst nightmare anybody can have. The worst nightmare anybody can have. So, getting back to what I was saying. Know your rights. You can get exemption forms, do so. When you go into stores and places and someone decides to say something to you, just show them the exemption form or just basically tell them to mind their own business. It says you're not obligated to wear the mask. You have, whatever. And if they feel they need to wear a mask, keep wearing it. The interesting thing that happened in the bank, there was a guy gets in front of the gal that was talking to me, where I had to basically tell her to, back down or be quiet in the way I did. When he left to tell her, he decided instead of going behind me, because the way out was to walk behind me out the door, he decided to walk around the other way. And by taking the stands that we do, we give these people, a visual of courage anyway, and perhaps, maybe the possibility of them actually looking at these things correctly. I even mentioned the Dr. Fauci interview in 60 Minutes when he said the mask didn't do anything, didn't stop the dribbling, didn't stop any of the COVID, nothing. He said they were absolutely useless. This is what he said in 60 Minutes. And somebody says, yeah, but another program, he's wearing a mask. These guys are actors. They know that the general population will not hear the truth. And as long as they can perpetuate the fear of the general population, they will not think. And you have to always remember, there's always going to be some sort of do-gooder that's going to try to make you comply to the system. At that point, you just tell them basically very politely, mind your own business. It says, I have what I have. You have what you have. You want to wear the mask, that's your affair. And if he says, well, where did you get that document? It says, go see your local doctor. Direct them there. So then they can see, how the doctors are going to treat them. Maybe they'll put them on a ventilator and take them out of their misery. Who knows? But, that's not your concern, what happens to them. The concern is you hold your ground. The concern is you stand your ground the best you can. There are times that we need to compromise, but this is one of those times that if you got your rights in front of you, don't back down from your rights. I was watching a Toronto event. Antifa has taken over the public square around Queen's Park. That's the capital of Toronto. And instead of enforcing whatever they're enforcing, they told the police to back off. They brought these guys porta shitters. They can sit there and poop and pee in these porta shitters. And they squatted and made claim that this was their land. Now, I'm not here to debate native treaties or anything like that. But to be honest with you, I didn't see natives there. I saw a lot of other cultures there, people of different ethnicities and colors that I didn't think were native. Didn't sound native, didn't look native. In fact, kind of looked like they're immigrants. Sounded like it too. Now there were some locals there, obviously. But anyway, when the reporters went in to do a report on what they saw, they were basically swarmed and chased away by the people inside. And the security of the Toronto Queen's Park came out and told these people that they were trespassed and they had to leave. And they were causing the problems. So the head of the Rebel newscast went in, told the police officer he was going to go in there with the security or without. One of the three things were going to happen. He said it was his right to go in there and stand and do a 5-minute interview. And he figured if the police came with him, they wouldn't bother them. So anyway, he negotiated and they went. He stood his ground. That's my point. He stood his ground on his rights. Got his 5 minutes and walked away. And couldn't believe what he was seeing in regarding to law enforcement, City Hall, and what was going on. Now, I'm going to tell everybody in Canada here, really don't want to speak Canadian on the air, because this doesn't take much. But this is an efftardery that we have never, ever seen before. You know, and I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong here in this, but I will say this. As far as I know, Canada belongs to Canadians, all Canadians. And as far as squatting and proclaiming a land, I think that should also be validated and verified before anything like this can happen. But the biggest thing that I see going on here is the support mechanism that's supporting this movement, and the government spineless activity in regarding to dealing with this. They're not even confronting these people. They're not even talking to them. So it's good when the government doesn't get involved in our lives, and I don't think the government should really be involved in our lives. But anybody walking through a park or through any kind of thing is being told that this is their land and get off. Okay, where's your trespass sign? I don't see a trespass sign. As far as I know, this is an open road. You know, but we need to, like I said, get the perspective here. We're being invaded by bad doctrine, bad dogma, and a violation of everything that's going on. And as long as everyone sits quietly about this is going to happen right across the board. This will happen in Montreal. I like Montreal. Montreal's a nice, beautiful, well, it used to be a nice, beautiful city. I haven't been there in a while. People tell me it's a little worn down, but I loved, when I was there, the people were fantastic. You know, we talked, I had a good time. My friend there and I went to a restaurant. We had a great time. We were talking to the people. I met a person there who didn't speak English. I didn't speak French. And we had a good old time. Imagine that. And you know what? We understood each other. That was the interesting thing about it all. It's all about attitude. You know, it's all about attitude. Don't have any condescension with anybody. You know what? You'll get along great with everybody. My point is this. The government is going to basically rule against people who are not breaking the law. Now we have to question in Canada, do we have a Canada anymore? Do we have a Canada? Do we have civil liberties? Do we have law and order? Do we have any of this? Do we? The police have been cut back in Toronto for sure. They cut back $122 million. I think there was a sign at the park about defunding the police. I'm not a big fan of policemen either, because there are some that do like to abuse their authority, and there are some that like writing tickets for no reason except to get QP points. But that doesn't reflect all the police officers, because there are some good ones, and I met some good ones. You know, and I got to say, I met some pretty good people, and they seem pretty normal. But I think there is a time when we have to not give the police full autonomy to do what they did in Minneapolis, put on a show, possibly killing somebody in the event, maybe not. You know, some are saying they've seen Floyd George's twin brother. But the event that caused was the visual of a government oppressing a minority. That's what that really was showing. 4 police officers, one had the knee on somebody. This was oppression by the government on a minority group. Nobody saw this as this. And people reacted by hurting people who were lighter skinned that never did anything to them, instead of going after the government officials that caused the problem. That would have been the right thing to do. Beating people out in the street because of their skin color, because they have a lighter skin color, and then their kids are being taught to hate and being bred to hate. Well, I can get that. I understand that. Growing up in that culture, I do get how that works. But if you're going to teach somebody how to hate, then tell them to hate the crime and the criminal that caused the crime. That's what you should be hating. Hating a government that has created the oppression on a minority. That's what you should be hating. Hating the bankers and the fascists that have created this environment for this to thrive in. That's what you should be hating. I don't have any animosity toward anybody of different skin tones. As a matter of fact, a lot of my best friends have darker skin tones than I do. They tan better. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine my friend there from Trinidad on the West Coast. Yeah, right. You're just jealous. I'll say, yes, I am. But anyway, I don't have any issues with this, with anybody's skin tone. I don't have any issues with anybody's different belief systems either, to be honest with you. But I do have an issue when somebody is going to assault me for something I never even did. And I think people of all walks have to understand nobody's owned a slave since the 1800s in North America. Now, having said this, we have all been slaves since the 1800s in North America. When Lincoln freed the slaves, he didn't free the slaves, he enslaved everybody else as slaves. Those who were free, he made slaves. And until everybody can see this for what it really is, the contentions that are going on will never stop. This game is being played on levels so much higher than we're perceiving. And they knew if they put it on the television, 4 police officers, light skin tone, oppressing somebody of a dark skin tone, and it would stimulate a racial profiling instead of looking at this as a systemic profiling, systemic attack on a minority. This triggered all this that has happened has triggered all these different things. We've got Antifa now. We've got city halls being basically taken over, conquered. What are you going to do when the next COVID assault, which is going to come in the next 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe sooner, and the next one 2 and 3 weeks later, and the next one 2 and 3 weeks later? How long are you going to keep jumping this hoop? How long are you keep believing the Disney Channel? The fake news is right in front of you. That fake news terminology, they planned that with precision. They planned that with precision. They started using that terminology, saying fake news, fake news, fake news. And now, when the fake news is being publicized, the psychology now is everyone is believing the fake news. There's a president from Ghana. Now, I've got this listed on the post. I listened to the man. I had no problem understanding him. Some of you may have a little problem. He does have a bit of an accent, but I pretty well picked it up real quick. You should hear his disgust. You should hear his disdain. and how he was not going to capitulate to the status quo, and he was saying how this had to be challenged. He wasn't going to have his people wear masks. He wasn't going to have his people vaccinated. He wasn't going to have any of that shit. And you know what he did? He read an account showing how North America, Canada, and the United States were going to be perpetuating this COVID shit for quite some time. 6 to 8 months. This is what he was reading from the document. But what they were going to do, and doesn't mean it's going to end. This means they're going to change the channel and go on to the next level. But he said every 2 to 3 weeks they're going to keep on reinforcing the fear, reinforcing this, reinforcing that. And I'm afraid some of these people are never going to come back to any sense of commonality or common sense. They're just not going to come back. They'll always be afraid that the boogeyman that doesn't exist is going to come and take them away. But he did mention something, that there would be a third stage, which I also stated there would be. I say that the power would go down and the food supply would be extremely short. I mean, today I was at Superstore and I couldn't believe the amount of potatoes they had. There was hardly anything there. Even the meat section was getting a little thin. So as I've been telling you all, start stockpiling the canned goods. I bought more potato, I bought some other things, and I just again brought some extra stuff home. Buy within your budget, but start stockpiling. He was really into this whole thing, the dynamic of what's going on, called it fraud. Now here's the president of Ghana saying this, and there will be people in these stages that will not believe it because they've been so conditioned to believe the lie. He said the third stage will happen possibly provided how many people don't believe in the COVID, don't believe anything. In other words, if the majority wake up, then they're going to release a real pathology, and then they're going to say, see, we told you so. That's what he was saying, that's what he was reading. So you may want to start considering what I'm saying tonight and go look at the video. And if it gets taken down, I've got a copy. Don't worry. In fact, hold on. I might have it. It may already be up. Let me take a look here. I was in the process of trying to put it up, I think. Okay, that ain't it. Well, maybe it's the other one. Give me a second. I gotta open up my other ISP. Something's around a couple of them. Oh, maybe. Let me take a look here. Because there was another thing that I popped up. I think was meant to. It was a poem out of there was a poem that came out of, I believe, Ireland or Scotland. Might be up. Let me see. Oh, it is up. Okay, it's if you go on the BitChute channel. Okay, I'll have to. Okay, there it is. Cool, it's up. All right, it came up. It's let me read this. I opened up another BitChute. It's called The Revealer. You know what? I'll have the link up in the post. I think that'll be the best way to do it. Anyway, this guy recites a poem. I think he's Scottish. He sounds very Scottish. You can see he's got nano all over his face. He's got the indentations. But anyway, let's see here. Do I have it? Okay, no, I don't. So it's going to be called Poetry. And the guy goes into a whole dynamic on poetry. And basically he's expressing how the system's working and how it's created the Great Divide and turned us all into slaves. Thought it was a great poem. Let me see here. The fellow with Ghana. No. Nope. There he is. It's called Man of Ghana Wants to Stop Con Job 19 Update. Not the president of Ghana. Sorry, not the president of Ghana. I thought he said, but it says president of Ghana on the thing here. Nana Akufo-Addo. But anyway, this guy's talking. I'm telling you, he's reading the whole show. He's telling you what's going on. He's expressing the whole game. So that'll also be posted tonight, so that everybody knows, so that you can see what he has to say. Yeah, some of you may have to play it a couple times. Like I said, I got it right away. Some people had a hard time with his accent, but he comes right out, and like I said, he says, "Lord, Lord, Lord," in regarding to what's going on. And the United States and Canada are playing a major role in this major deception. It's a huge deception. It's unbelievable how this has been played. It's so bad. And the interesting thing of it all is none of it is right. None of it is accurate. None of it is true. It's again, to keep everybody off balance, keep everybody, in the state of fear. We really need to, like I said, to take a stand, a real stand on what's going on. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. I'm seeing people walking down the street today, and they're just in a state. They have been so scrambled, so bad. So to the best of your ability, tell whoever you can the truth. This will divide families. I will tell you this. The great division in the families is going to come through this. It's going to come through this. The vaccines, the COVID stages, the continual stages of shutting everything down. Every time something goes up, the numbers go up right away. The numbers go up again. Nobody is connecting the dots. These numbers are already pre-planned, pre-recorded, just like the 9/11 planes that never really even hit the building, explosives that went off left, right, and center. And they had everybody in the United States and Canada and the world watching some theatrical program that made everyone believe that two planes hit the buildings, because when they asked the people that were standing outside the Twin Towers, they said they never saw the plane. There was no planes. And when the videographer took apart the video, he said the wings, this was all piecemeal together. I had actually a guy on the internet, and a buddy of mine who does this for a living said, yeah, the whole thing was fraud. The thing was completely played with and tampered with. So this is the same thing going on again. The same thing going on again. It's just remarkable that they can continually play the same stuff over and over and over and over again. I was showing somebody the movie Metropolis 1927, and I think it was the 18-minute mark. You see them walking into Moloch. They're working their asses off in the machine. This is fascism. This is what fascism is really all about. Corporations, corporate control. People are now property of the corporation. So if you die, c'est la vie, they'll get somebody to replace you. They got them working on this power grid, and they're operating the power grid. And one of the guys dies, the power grid blows, and all of a sudden, the AI network they had opens up, and it becomes a chasm for the slaves to feed the machine. Literally feed the machine. You gotta watch this. This is telling you that this has happened before. Notice in 1927 they're showing this. 1929 they had a crash. They had to wipe out all that data. It took us, what, 70 years, 80 years, 80, almost 90, no, more than 90, holy shit. It has taken us about 90, 95 years to get back to the situation that they were in 1927. Imagine that. Imagine that. That's a depiction of what they had way back then. It wasn't just some thought of, made of, imaginary thing. They were showing the whole game. 1927. What was going on then? Who knows? What was going on then? Who knows? But it was going on. And they did wipe out everything. First World War and the Second World War. The Second World War brought in new technology, new innovative ways of killing. New discoveries with mind control, new discoveries with chemicals, new discoveries with nuclear. All came from that Second World War. You know, and everything changed from that. The tilt was leaning almost on its side. That's how bad the tilt has become. Now we're back in 2020. What's that saying? Are we about ready to repeat 1920s? The roaring 1920s. Amazing, eh? Just amazing. Here we are, you know, trying to get by, trying to make ends meet, trying to, you know, have a better life, and all we are doing is regurgitating another system. That's all we're doing. Have any of you ever wondered where artificial and natural flavor came from? Some of you heard me on the show tell you that, you know, it's come from aborted babies. So somebody sent me this, I think today or yesterday. So I watched about half of it. And wait till you see how they're flavoring your food. The brains of the fetus, the heart of the fetus, the skin of the fetus that they had aborted, and there's absolutely no anesthetic. Using aborted baby DNA and proteins from the body, they turn these things to artificial and natural flavor. When you see it, it might get you a little green, just so you know. Have a heads up. But it's an interesting thing to watch. Babies are... I mean, this is interesting, don't you think? I mean, think about this for a minute. They're putting a third strain of DNA in your food supply. They're putting a third strain of DNA every time they put in a vaccine in a child or an adult. We're putting in artificial and natural flavoring agents that are coming from dead fetuses. Well, not dead fetuses. They're actually alive. They've been aborted and they've been removed, and now they proceed to extract from these creations, this life form, compositions from their body to turn them into flavoring agents. Can you imagine that? Imagine that. That's called harvesting. Genetic harvesting, DNA harvesting, so that the AI can be fed. So that the AI can continually be fed. The United States is going to require by 2021, unless something happens, that everybody going to a university is going to have to be requiring COVID-19 vaccines and a flu shot. This is the interesting thing about all of this. They're still in the testing phases of all of this. So what are they going to do? They're going to keep on running tests, and in the future the students are now going to be the test. Imagine that, eh? Imagine that. The test. It's interesting what we're seeing today. It totally is. Life has no value. Life has no value. You know, it really doesn't have any value, and in all regard, it's sometimes cheaper to remove you and allow somebody younger to come in and replace you. And in fascism, you have no rights. In fascism, which is a corporocracy, corporations control everything that has to do with their empires. That's how it works. That's how it rolls. So, again, keep that in mind. Oh yeah, I almost forgot this. interaction of nanomaterials with the immune system. The things I've been telling you about for a long time about nanoparticles affecting the immune system, affecting the brain, affecting the heart, affecting the lungs, affecting the spleen. You'll find this an interesting read. I think you'll find it very educational, and hopefully you'll get something out of it in regarding to the dangers we're living in today. So I'm going to leave you on that note, other than the fact that, we're still here, and the fact that I always encourage you to go read the Gospels. That would not hurt, especially in these times. You never know. You never know when, the right hand of God may come down and save you. You never know. So, go read the Gospels. I always encourage you to do that. Read what Jesus had to say and follow that to the best of your ability. Don't listen to anybody with bad doctrine, bad dogma, or legalism. Legalism is probably the worst thing in the world. Gotta tell you, it's just unbelievable. Alrighty. Go to the site, download the data. There are activists there as well. There's Aroy, there's Brian, there's Yanni. There's also Three Heart Church. Check these places out. Check out these these links, and help to anybody you can financially that you can, and if you can't, share their data. Share their data. All right. Until the next segment, to your health, and remember, we are still here. Take care.